he was tough in that he was very demanding. He was a perfectionist, and he knew what he wanted. And sometimes you work for a boss, and you know more than them, right?
And I cannot leave this interview without asking you for a Steve Jobs story, right?
Yeah.
And that's what you will say in every keynote.
Yeah.
But I love the part of your book of the Gospel of Steve Jobs. So what I want to ask you, is there any story that you haven't told many people in regards to Steve Jobs?
Well, I usually tell one particular story. So that's the story I love to tell. Okay.
Yeah.
So the story is that I'm working in my cubicle. He shows up with somebody I've never met, and he asks me about a company. And I tell him that the company is mediocre, the software is mediocre, it's not important for Apple. And then he says to me, I want you to meet the CEO of the company, totally bushwhacking me. And that's just a great insight into how Steve Jobs operated. You were always being tested.
Yeah. And I love how you said in the book, or you said many times, that tough bosses and tough teachers are the greatest teachers of life.
Yes. I had a really hard English teacher in high school. And of course, I had a really hard boss, Steve Jobs. And as I look back, I think that the teachers who were the toughest and the bosses that were the toughest are the ones that you learn the most from. Many people try to find the easiest teacher and the easiest professor and the easiest boss. And I think that's a mistake. You don't learn the most from them.
Yeah. Can you tell us how Steve Jobs was tough? I think you said it in other places, but how was exactly he tough?
Well, he was tough in that he was very demanding. He was a perfectionist, and he knew what he wanted. And sometimes you work for a boss, and you know more than them, right? So if anything, you may have to dumb it down for them, but you can definitely outsmart your boss. There are very few people who could outsmart Steve Jobs, if any. And so I think that was the key, that he truly was a visionary and high IQ, high intelligence. Now, a lot of people like to claim that they're a visionary, and I would say that they're flattering themselves. They have no clue. In American business, there's been Steve Jobs, Walt Disney, Thomas Edison, and Elon Musk. There have been 4 or 5 ever. So I think that's the key, that he truly was a visionary.
Yeah. And I myself have worked with a lot of tough bosses, and some of them are really brilliant, and they are tough because they are really that good, and they expect that from everyone. And in your experience, who are the people that worked best with a person like Steve Jobs?
Well, it's someone who's tough and smart. If you're just tough but not smart, you're gonna get scared. And if you're smart but not tough, you're just gonna collapse. You have to be both.